RBC counting. So the other tests that we're going to talk about will still be about RBCs, but these are not the routine tests that we do. So we will discuss about reticulocyte count, hemoglobin electrophoresis, osmotic fragility test, and erythrocyte sedimentation rate. And you know the pages where they can be found in your manual. The first three will help to differentiate the various types of anemia, and the last is an inflammatory marker, which is no longer done to aid in the diagnosis of anemia. So we'll start with reticulocyte. So what are reticulocytes? These the reticulocyte stage of RBC maturation is the last stage prior to becoming a full red blood cell, a uh, fully grown or fully synthesized red blood cells. So it is still considered immature. They do not uh, represent a very sizable number in the total RBC population. About 1% of the red cells uh, are in the stage of reticulocyte stage. We know that the red blood cells develop in the bone marrow, and the reticulocytes being the last of this, the last before really going out. Some of them, like, because the release to the bloodstream of the developing red blood cells in the marrow is not perfect. Some of those that are not so mature yet might go to the bloodstream. Or in cases where there is rapid turnover, meaning a lot of maturation activity, red cell maturation activities are happening in the marrow. Some of the not so old forms or those reticulocytes might get to the circulation earlier. Okay? So these reticulocytes, once they are in the circulation, they can last there for about 2 days before developing into mature red blood cells. So when you sample a blood from a patient, you might see them. So it's normal to see them. What you will see, wait, wala pala tong arrow. I hope you can see my arrow. Are this. Sometimes you even see these nucleated red blood cells. Okay, so these two can be seen in and sometimes this one. Okay, and that is not yet really very alarming. So the reticulocytes would have those mesh-like, hindi gaano maganda yung drawing, but just mesh-like, para lang siyang mga wire na kulot-kulot nandun. And these are actually ribosomal RNA, remnants of your RNA. And they can be stained by supravital stains. And that stain will be represented by methylene blue. There are other supravital stains, but what we are using usually will be the methylene blue. When you say supravital, they stain those who are cells that are like alive, but the red cells are also alive. But I'm just trying to tell you what supravital mean literally. Okay? So this mesh-like network, you will see that I think in the OSPE that comes out sometimes. Okay. Yan. This is more like a mesh. Yung mga ganyan. Although, this is kind of exaggerated, no? Sometimes isang ano lang, guhit lang, no? But this one are the ideal ones. So when you see reticulocytes, it means that you have a functioning marrow. You have a marrow that's producing red cells. But when they are increased, meaning there is a rapid turnover of reticulocytes going to the circulation. Is it good or bad? It depends really. if you have an anemic person and you are seeing increase in your reticulocyte count, that's a good indicator, meaning your marrow is trying to compensate for the anemia. So what's worrisome is when you're having anemia, and your reticulocyte count is not even going up, or you're not seeing reticulocytes. That can be seen in your aplastic anemia when you do not. I mean, your marrow is producing red blood cells at a very slow rate, or not producing red cells at all. Okay. So they are usually larger than mature RBC with a grayish tinge with methylene blue. Okay. With rights, they can also be a little bluish or grayish, but they can also be as red as the red blood cells, or as orangey as the red blood cells. When you see too many of them, the condition is called your polychromasia. Okay. Or because they're also called as shift cells. Excuse me, class. Okay. Uh, so the normal count will be, or the index, is 0.5 to 2.5%. That means 0.5 to 2.5% of your red cells are reticulocytes. So how do you do reticulocyte count? Actually, this one I'm showing you is the reticulocyte estimate. You can do counting of reticulocyte, really actual counting, but this one we do is an estimate. Right? So you count your reticulocytes from among 1,000 red blood cells. So does it mean like you're also counting red blood cells? Red blood cells while counting the reticulocyte count, the reticulocytes among them. Yes and no. If you have to be really strict about it, you count the red blood cells in each field. And usually as long as you are in the zone of morphologic differentiation, then you are, diba yung the Z line, the zone where you see the red blood cells are close to each other but not overlapping. So one power field, high power field, will comprise around 100 red blood cells. So that's the estimate. And then you count how many reticulocytes are there. So how are we going to compute? So you count in 10 fields. So example, in 10 fields, you counted 35. You multiply it by 100, you divide it by 1,000, and that's 3.5%. Okay, or 35 over 10. The 10 there represents that there in each field, there are 1,000 red cells. Okay, so I think I said low power field. You cannot differentiate them in low power field. It's in high power, in oil immersion field. Okay, so any question on reticulocyte counting or reticulocyte index? Remember that this is a marker for RBC production. So in cases where you need to assess if your marrow is producing enough red blood cells, then you do reticulocyte count, or your reticulocyte index is a good indicator about that activity. Okay, we now go to, I hope I'm not losing signal. Lakas ng ulan sa labas. Okay lang ba ang ano?
Okay naman po, Doc.
Okay naman po. Sa ilalim ako ng flyovers. Dali, palagpasin na natin. Okay, now we talk about hemoglobin electrophoresis. I remember I was the one who lectured on proteins, and there is like your protein electrophoresis. It's in the same principle wherein there will be cathode and anode, and there will be migration. Okay, but this time it's about red blood cells. Okay, so that because hemoglobin is also protein, di ba? So the hemoglobin, the protein hemoglobin that is seen in red blood cells will migrate either towards cathode or to the anode. So in this picture or in this slide, the cathode here, the negatively charged, and the positively charged on the other end. So you apply here the sample, and they will migrate according to the charges. The most negative will be A, followed by F, S, and C. Okay? Yun na nga yun. Ang sabi doon sa ano is the way to remember it is Cultural Society of Filipino Americans. Okay, Cultural Society of Filipino Americans. So meaning this group here, headed by hemoglobin C, hemoglobin S here, hemoglobin F, and hemoglobin A. So the first or nearest to the cathode is or are hemoglobin C, hemoglobin A2, hemoglobin E, hemoglobin O, hemoglobin C, Harlem, not the C there. And the O is Arab. By the way, the medium here is called a cellulose acetate, which is alkaline in nature. Here is your hemoglobin S, hemoglobin D, hemoglobin G, and L. And this is F and A. So what does that mean? When they change, there could be a disease. Okay? Ayan, meron si ma'am o. Meron pala siyang ano dito. This is called, ang acronym is ACE of clubs or ACE, ACE-CO or CoACE. Pwede rin CoACE. Okay? Dito naman, F and A. Ano na nga yung SDGL? Sad dogs get love. Ganun. Sad dogs are not lovable. Okay. Now, this is an example of hemoglobin electrophoresis in a patient with sickle cell anemia. So normally, you have your hemoglobin A there, which is just the right amount, your hemoglobin F, and your hemoglobin A, which comprise most of the red blood cells in our body. In sickle cell trait, your hemoglobin A2 is just the right amount, or even absent sometimes. Your hemoglobin S is present and of significant amount. Your hemoglobin F is normal or even not seen. And there is a decrease in hemoglobin A. So remember that a sickle cell trait will have this pattern. Hemoglobin A is decreased, and there is presence or there's an increase in hemoglobin S. In sickle cell anemia, you will have a markedly increased hemoglobin S, an absent hemoglobin A, and an increase in hemoglobin F. Ganyan na ganyan lalabas yan sa OSPE. Diba? By the way, your grades in OSPE are not so happy. So this is sickle cell anemia, the same as what I've shown you earlier. Okay. Beta thalassemia. In beta thalassemia, what you will see is an increase in A2. What divides beta thalassemia trait from beta thalassemia major is the presence or the markedly increased in hemoglobin. Sorry, not markedly increased. A slight decrease for trait, slight decrease of hemoglobin A, and markedly decreased for hemoglobin A in major. And another difference is the presence or the markedly increased hemoglobin F for thalassemia, beta thalassemia major. Questions, class? Now we go to osmotic fragility. From the terms themselves, osmotic fragility, meaning osmosis is the movement of fluid from lower concentrate, the movement of water, ano ba? Sandali. Kalimutan ko na yung quality. The movement of solute from lower to higher concentration. Or the movement, in this case, the movement of water from higher concentration to the lower concentration. No, mali ako. Sandali, sorry. The movement of water from lower concentration of NaCl to higher concentration of NaCl. Is that clear? O pagka nandito na tayo sa mga tubes, you will understand them better. Okay. So, you have 13 tubes here, and you see the concentration of sodium chloride here. Notice that they are decreasing. And you place in here red blood cells. Okay. What is the tonicity of red blood cells? It's 0.9. Okay? 0.9 ang tonicity ng inside the cytoplasm of the red cells. That's 0.9. Okay. So if you place it in a solution with a lower sodium chloride concentration, the water will move towards the red blood cells by osmosis. Diba? Movement from lower concentration to higher concentration. So papasok yung water in the red cells. And the red cells, remember the red cells are not, hindi sila bilog na bilog. Para silang donut, di ba? They are expandable. They can be, patawag, anong term na? They can change in shape because hindi nga siya, hindi siya parang punong-puno. That's the normal red blood cells. That's for the red blood cells to be able to negotiate or flow in the circulation, in the capillaries. Kasi di ba, pag nasa capillaries na sila, they're almost in single file already. Di ba? So para makapasok sila doon, the red blood cells has to be, ano namang term? Hindi naman malleable ang term. They can change in shape, so they can negotiate the tiny blood vessels. Okay? So, when you expose them to a decreasing concentration of salt solution, there will come a point na mapupuno na siya at sasabog na siya. Okay? So in this case, at 0.45% sodium chloride, some of the red blood cells are already hemolyzed. Pumutok na sila kasi sobrang maraming tubig na ang pumasok sa kanila. And then, there will be complete hemolysis, in 4. Mamaya sa picture, makita mo, pinkish ito, tapos ito magiging red. Okay? Here. Parang pareho. Doon na lang sa illustration. Ha? So, the initial hemolysis is pink. Diba? And is and there is compact sediment. Ano ba yun? Yan. Pinkish at makikita mo yung compact sediment. Okay? Tapos, dun sa complete hemolysis, pula na siya and this is the first tube na walang sediment. Okay, so that is the complete, the indicator that there is complete hemolysis there. So, saan tayo sa picture na to? So, your osmotic fragility at the initial onset is 0.45. Sometimes it's 0.5. And the complete hemolysis happens at 0.3 or 0.33. So, the factors that will affect the osmotic fragility, if your red cells are small, they will rupture early, okay, at a bit higher concentration. If they are deformed, no? So these are factors that are membrane associated factors. And another will be the surface or the volume ratio, meaning the larger cells may be able to accommodate more water. So ito, subukan ninyo siya, di ba? This is almost red, but meron pa rin sediment, kaya hindi yan yung complete. Ito yung complete. Okay? Dito naman yung start. So makikita ninyo, this is the normal one, the one we even described earlier. But in hereditary spherocytosis, the start is at 0.65. And it is completed at 0.3. Meron pa rin kasi dito sa 0.35, meron pang sediment. So ito yung osmotic fragility test. Initial at 0.65% and completed at 0.3%. Okay? Now, osmotic fragility test can be used to diagnose various diseases like your sickle cell disease, beta thalassemia major, hereditary spherocytosis, your autoimmune hemolytic anemia, those 4 diseases. But actually, with sickle cell disease, ba't ka pa mag-osmotic fragility test kung meron naman ng hemoglobin electrophoresis? So basically now, it is more popularly used for hereditary spherocytosis. Okay, your autoimmune hemolytic anemia can be diagnosed using immunohematologic procedures. So, hindi na rin gaanong ginagamit yan. But just so, for your OSPE, please be familiar with these tracings here. Okay? The normal is in this dotted lines. Last is the erythrocyte sedimentation rate, or your ESR. The principle is when whole blood with an anticoagulant is left in a tube, the red blood cells will settle at the bottom, or they will appear like stack of coins there. They will be stacked one over the other, okay? And the rate at which they precipitate in an hour is known as the erythrocyte sedimentation rate. It is a very, mind you, meron pa rin mga doktor na paparan nito, no? Basically, you already have your CRP and the other inflammatory markers that are available, that are readily available. Hindi siya ganun ka-ancient. Pero meron pa rin kasing gamit ng ESR. The rheumatologists still request for ESR because this is relatively cheap. It's actually cheap and it's easy to perform. Okay? It is a non-specific measure of inflammation, but very sensitive. Meaning, if the ESR is increasing, you're sure that some inflammatory process is happening. Kahit nga pimple, pwedeng magkaroon ng increase in ESR. So, alam mo, its use is really just to screen, diba? Because it's very sensitive for inflammatory, as a marker for inflammation. So, yan yon. You place the blood and leave it there. Okay. So, what are the factors that would affect the interplay of the entire process of sedimentation, or when the red blood cells will be settling down? Okay. So there are those factors that will promote, okay, and those factors that will resist. So those that will promote sedimentation rate is mainly the fibrinogen. And those that will resist sedimentation, they are the natural occurring, those zeta potentials in or around the red blood cells. So mainly fibrinogen. So the absence of fibrinogen will somehow affect the rate of sedimentation. As I have said, this is highly sensitive but non-specific. So ito na siya ngayon. So ano siya? After extraction, you place it in a tube. There are many types of tubes. There is the Wintrol. Ano nga ba yung isa? Wintrol. Westergren. Westergren. And a lot more now. Okay. These are the newer designs later. Okay, so what happens is you place the blood here, the coagulated Westergren with a isang ilang after the heart. So Westergren method, you just place blood here, leave it for an hour, then you measure it after an hour. Yan na yung erythrocyte sedimentation. Okay. Ito yung mga iba-ibang di ba? In our last convention among pathologists, merong nag-lecture na meron ng automated erythrocyte sedimentation rate. So I think this test will not vanish in vain, but there are innovations that to keep it in use. And I think there are other parameters aside from the rate that that machine can generate. So, yan, ito, may measure nyo lang. Ano sedimentation rate nito? Diba, yan. This is low. And this is like high. Okay? You need to do these procedures, these activities, to describe the results of tests that you would request for spherocytic anemia. I think these are in your manual. Sickle cell anemia, iron deficiency anemia, and pernicious anemia. Okay, so with that, we will now proceed to our, are any questions, class? Sinong presenters, Bonnie?
Sa pernicious anemia po, Doc, yung group nila Guantero.
Sige. By the way, meron pa bang hahabol ng pagdadrop? Sigurado kayo walang magdadrop sa inyo? Hindi, joke lang. Walang magdadrop dapat. Okay. So if there are no questions, then we will proceed to the presentation of the case. I stopped sharing already. Bakit nga pala hindi kayo nakabukas ng camera ninyo? Dahil hindi ako nagbukas ng camera.
So good afternoon, everyone. So our group will be presenting about a case of pernicious anemia. So next slide, please. So for our case studies, case report, so a 58-year-old African-American male presented to the emergency room with 6 weeks of progressively worsening dyspnea on exertion, fatigue, and unintentional weight loss. He had a past medical history of iron deficiency anemia, gout, and osteoarthritis. He denied other respiratory symptoms. He never used tobacco. He reported frequent gum bleeding when brushing his teeth but denied nosebleed, hemoptysis, and hematopsia, melena, or hematuria. He reported intermittent chills and a 15-pound weight loss, which he attributed to poor appetite. Review of systems was otherwise unremarkable. He ate a balanced diet and was not a vegetarian or a vegan. He recalled being diagnosed with iron deficiency anemia at an ER 5 years prior, requesting transfusion at the time of diagnosis. He did not recall any workup for the cause of his anemia. Next slide po. He did not have a primary care physician since then. He had been taking iron supplements twice a week. His only other medication was naproxen, which he took only sparingly on occasion. He sometimes smoked marijuana for recreation but denied alcohol use. He was recently divorced and was sexually active with a few new female partners, using condoms consistently. His father developed prostate carcinoma at the age of 70, and there was no other known family history of malignancy or rheumatologic disorders. So these are his laboratory findings, which will be discussed later on. Next slide, please. So this is more other laboratory findings of the patient. Next slide, please. So for his patient identifiers, so name is GJ, 50 years of age, male, a divorced, African-American nationality, with religion Protestant, occupation is a businessman. August 27, 1964 is his birthday, and birthplace is in Texas, USA. Currently living in Quezon City. Number of times admitted was 1 5 years ago, and the date of current admission was on October 26, 2020. So for his chief complaint, it is difficulty of breathing. So for the history of present illness, so 6 weeks prior to admission, the patient experienced shortness of breath and mild weakness. So the patient self-medicate with naproxen sparingly and no consultation was done. So next 4 weeks prior to admission, the above symptoms became persistent even during basic activities. So the patient also noticed a reduction in appetite, frequent gum bleeding, and the onset of chills. The patient continues to self-medicate with naproxen, and no consultation was done. 2 weeks prior to admission, so same signs and symptoms persisted, and the patient continues to self-medicate with naproxen, and no consultation was done even 1 week prior to admission. And on the 1 day prior to admission, the patient was alarmed and was forced to visit the doctor due to difficulty in breathing. So his review of systems was unremarkable. Next slide, please. Next slide.
So at presentation, these are the clinical features that our patient has. Vital signs are stable, and there is a subconjunctival pallor, 2 mildly enlarged submandibular nodes that are mobile and non-tender. There is also hepatomegaly with right upper quadrant tenderness and scattered ecchymosis of lower extremities and hyperpigmentation of the gums and interphalangeal joints.
For the laboratory and the radiologic findings, These are the following. So hemoglobin is 3.3 grams per deciliter, which is low. Hematocrit is 9.4%, which is also low. For the mean corpuscular volume, MCV, it's 119. It's greater than 92, which is micro-C, which means there is micro-CT found. Red cell distribution width, which is RDW, is 26%, which means also elevated. WBC is 3,000, which is 3,000 per microliter, which is normal. Platelets is 41,000 per microliter. Which is low. Next slide, please. Reticulocyte percent, which is 1.4, is normal with the reticulocyte index of 0.13. Manual smear showed microcytosis, hypersegmented neutrophils, large platelets, and many atypical lymphocytes, as well as occasional schistocytes. Protothrombin time was 13.1 seconds, which is normal. Partial thromboplastin time is 28.4 seconds, which is also normal. For the fibrinogen, it's 269 milligrams per deciliter, which is normal. D-dimer is 573, which is positive or elevated. Next slide, please. For the lactate dehydrogenase versus LDH, it's greater than 2,500 units per liter, which is elevated. Haptoglobin is less than 10 milligrams, which is low. There's a comprehensive metabolic panel done, which was unremarkable. Urinalysis showed small bilirubin and urobilinogen with greater than 8 EU per deciliter trace leukocyte esterase and trace blood. Serum vitamin B12 level was at less than 150 picograms per ml. Folate level is normal at 13.7 nanograms per ml. Next slide, please. So iron studies showed elevated total serum iron, ferritin, and percentage of saturation with low total iron binding capacity. HIV and hepatitis C screens were negative. Epstein-Barr virus were also consistent, which is also negative. Anti-nuclear antibody titer was at 1:160. And quantitative rheumatoid factor was at 9 IU per ml, which is normal. And transglutaminase antibodies were negative. Next slide, please. There is also bone marrow biopsy done. The marrow showed myeloid and erythroid hyperplasia with megaloblastic changes of erythroid elements. Cytogenic analysis also done, which showed no consistent abnormalities and no evidence of leukemia or lymphoma. For the radiologic diagnostics done, there is PET-CT done, which show no evidence of malignancy. There's also X-ray for the chest X-ray, which was unremarkable. And there is a CT scan for the abdomen and pelvis with IV contrast. And it showed hepatomegaly in the right lobe, spanning 19 centimeter. And there are also small hepatic hypodensities, too small to be characterized. Also in the case, balik lang muna. All right. Also in the case, which is it's not here on the slide. However, on the case, there's findings on the day 3 on the hospital. This includes elevated level of homocysteine, which is 155 moles per liter, and there is a methyl malonic acid, which is 88,883 and mole per liter, and detection of intrinsic factor antibodies. So those last 3 that I have said, findings were conclusive for the pernicious anemia, which was only found out on the hospital day 3. So that's all for the laboratory and radiologic findings.
So now let's head on to the diagnostic procedures for pernicious anemia. So for the screening, you have CBC, complete CBC, serum vitamin B12 levels, and peripheral blood smear. For confirmatory naman, you have for the presence of atrophic body gastritis and deficiency of intrinsic factor. And for others, the elevated serum homocysteine and methyl malmonic acid. And for this screening, yung complete CBC of the patients with pernicious anemia. This will demonstrate decreased hemoglobin and hematocrit. For the hemoglobin concentration, that would be less than 13 grams per deciliter for men, and for males, and less than 12 grams per deciliter for females. And for the MCV naman, or your mean corpuscular volume, that would be greater than or equals to 100 femtoliters. And this is an expected finding in macrocytic anemia. And so for the serum vitamin B levels naman, with, again, patients with pernicious anemia, the patient will demonstrate a decreased level of vitamin B12 because this anemia is a condition that has impaired absorption of your vitamin B12. Next slide po. Ayan, yung hemoglobin hematocrit ng patient was below reference range, and for the MCV ng patient is increased. Next slide. And so for the PBS, this will demonstrate, the patient may demonstrate hypersegmented neutrophils as shown there with 5 lobes or greater. Next slide po. So for the confirmatory test, next slide. For confirmatory test of pernicious anemia, this would include your atrophic body gastritis. So there is weakening of the stomach lining as a common cause of pernicious anemia. There's also a presence of corpus-restricted atrophy with a spared antrum. So dito kukuha ng biopsy to check if there's a presence of hyperplasia of ECL cells. Next slide po. For the intrinsic factor deficiency, this will be evaluated by the Schilling test and to detect for intrinsic factor antibodies. So there are 2 types. One is blocking type against vitamin B12 binding site at present of 70% of patients, and antibodies to parietal cells naman shown in 90% of patients. That would be all po for diagnostic procedures.
Okay, let's now proceed to the pathogenesis of the disease. Let me just give a brief background sa pernicious anemia, or the topic for today. So let's define first vitamin B12, and this is also termed as cobalamin, as we all know.
Can you speak a little louder?
Hello po, Doc. Ayan. Okay, again, let's define first vitamin B12, which is an important part of the pernicious anemia. This is also termed to be cobalamin and is required for formation of hematopoietic cells. So cobalamin is a cofactor used in the synthesis of DNA as well as in metabolism of fatty acids and amino acids. So sources of vitamin B12 or cobalamin are almost exclusively from animal foods, like yung mga seafoods natin such as the salmon, poultry products like the egg, animal products like the organ meats, as well as fortified ready-to-eat cereals and milks. So most of the times, individuals who are in strict vegetarian diet, they may have deficiency of this vitamin, as well as because the plants are generally the plants are not generally a good source of vitamin B12. So moreover, yung deficiency ng vitamin sa pernicious anemia or the mechanism is different. Hindi lang siya due to dietary kakulangan sa dietary intake ng mga pasyente. But okay, let's define first the pernicious anemia. So according to Robbins, pernicious anemia is a specific form of megaloblastic anemia caused by an autoimmune gastritis that impairs production of intrinsic factor. And this intrinsic factor is required for vitamin B12 uptake from the gut. So it is believed to result from an autoimmune attack on the gastric mucosa. And histologically, as mentioned a while ago, may chronic atrophic gastritis, which is marked by a loss of parietal cells, and also prominent infiltrate ng lymphocytes and plasma cells. And nagkakaroon ng megaloblastic changes sa ating mucosa cells na similar na nakikita sa mga erythroid precursors. So also according to Robbins, there are 3 types of autoantibodies that are present in many but not all patients. So one would be the type 1 antibody, which is present in 75% of patients, and ito yung nagbablock ng binding ng vitamin B12 natin sa intrinsic factor. And most of the time, these antibodies, the type 1, nakikita sila sa both in the plasma and the gastric juice. And the type 2 antibodies are the ones naman na nagpo-prevent ng intrinsic factor vitamin B12 complex natin. And they are present in the large proportion of patients na may pernicious anemia. So, tulad ng type 1, nakikita rin to or found din siya sa plasma and gastric juice. In type 3 antibodies, they are present in almost 85 to 90% ng mga pasyente. At sila yung nag-recognize ng alpha and beta subunits of the gastric proton pump. And this one is a component of microvilli ng ating canalicular system of the gastric parietal cells. So this type of antibodies, hindi raw sila very specific, and nakikita sila in as many as 50% ng mga adults na may idiopathic gastritis. So just a little mechanism of the pernicious anemia. So autoantibodies, hindi sila of diagnostic utility, but are not thought to be the primary cause of the gastric pathology. But rather, it seems na may autoreactive T-cell response tayo na nag-i-initiate ng gastric mucosal injury. And this is what triggers the formation of autoantibodies. And when the mass of that factor secreting cells falls below a threshold, this is when the anemia develops. In the case, it was presented that another manifestation of the patient was pancytopenia. And according to the definition of pancytopenia related to pernicious anemia, it's a rare manifestation of this vitamin B12 deficiency. More commonly, simple anemia is only observed in patients with pernicious anemia. But the differential for pancytopenia is broad, including infection, autoimmune conditions, marrow failure, and marrow space occupying lesions. So the pancytopenia due to vitamin B12 deficiency is more common in developing countries, and this occurs in cases of severe vitamin B12 deficits that are being sustained over time. So on the other hand, yung cobalamin deficiency can also lead to both intramedullary and extramedullary hemolysis. So another manifestation of the patient was hemolysis. So intramedullary hemolysis is more common and occurs due to macrophage destruction of the megaloblastic cells in the bone marrow. While conversely, extramedullary hemolysis natin in the cobalamin deficiency occurs due to the fragmentation of erythrocytes in the capillaries. So this appears to be multifactorial, and the deficiency will lead to the deformability of the RBC membrane as well as yung hyperhomocystinemia, which promotes the endothelial dysfunction. So in the case, again, the patient presented with many classical features of vitamin B12 deficiency. Very importantly would be the mean corpuscle volume would having 119 FL, and the vitamin B12 deficiency does not always present with an elevated MCV, but an MCV of greater than 120 is 99% specific for vitamin B12 deficiency. Also the patient also presented of having hypersegmented neutrophils, as well as yung patient's history of unintentional weight loss and associated with constitutional symptoms including fever, and also the elevated LDH and low haptoglobin, primarily the intramedullary hemolysis due to few schistocytes.
So let's go now for the treatment and management. Next slide, please. So for the treatment, the goal is to increase the level of cobalamin. So the treatment options for vitamin B12 deficiency include oral vitamin B12 or intramuscular injections of cyanocobalamin. So ang available for therapeutic use is the parenterally the cyanocobalamin or the hydroxocobalamin. So it lessens the possibility of irreversible neurological symptoms. So the treatment it's important to begin the treatment as soon as pernicious anemia is diagnosed because the vitamin B12 deficiency can cause nervous system problems that may become permanent. So what nervous system problems? So yung vitamin B12 is involved in the nervous system demyelination. So if hindi agad na-introduce yung treatment, it can lead to neurological problems. So since the patients has an severe pernicious anemia due to the lack of intrinsic factor, ang primary treatment natin is the cobalamin therapy. The response should be monitored by reticulocyte counts, LDH, must be decreased, hemoglobin levels must increase or rise. So, the guidelines, meron akong na-search from British Society for Hematology, since yung sa atin sa CDC or WHO or DOH, wala akong nakita. So, I used the guidelines from British Society of Hematology. They recommended that injections, cyanocobalamin injections 3 times per week for 2 weeks kapag yung patient natin without neurological deficits. Kapag meron na siyang neurological deficits, injections should be given every other day for up to 3 weeks or until no further improvement is noted. So next slide, please. So eto, parang nice to know since there are different causes of pernicious anemia. So if the cause of the pernicious anemia is due to the insufficient or lack of dietary intake ng vitamin B12, so we can do is dietary measures and activity restriction. So for this, the physician may advise to increase intake of food rich in vitamin B12. So sabi nga kanina, it can be seen sa fish, shellfish, meat, poultry, eggs, dairy products such as yogurt, cheese, bread, cereals, and other fortified food with vitamin B12. So it is also advised that strenuous physical activity should be avoided by patients with severe anemia. So if the pernicious anemia naman is due to the bacteria in the gut that prevent the absorption of vitamin B12, yung bacteria na to is, for example, is the Helicobacter pylori. So the doctor may advise the use of antibiotics. So that's all for the treatment and management and for our report. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Can you show, can you go back to the slides? Oy, can you turn on your cameras? Turn on your cameras now. And please, those of you, there are a few of you who would not even participate. And when you will not participate, that's a big deduction already. Not a big deduction. We don't deduct from your grades, but that is a significantly low grade that you get if you don't. I don't hear you at all. Okay. So, okay, next slide. Next slide na, next slide. Okay. This is the summary part. No, you go to the laboratory findings. Okay. Now, for the first question, what will be the let's start with pernicious anemia. So what is pernicious anemia? What's the main pathology in pernicious anemia?
Doc, it lacks in the... Doc, for the... Doc, meron
Sino
pong
sa
lack...
nagsasalita?
Hello, Doc?
Yes, sino to? Ay, Bonnie, alam mo naman kung sino yung nagsasalita, no?
Yes po, Doc. Chinecheck ko po.
Sige. Yung mga reporter, you'll be the last to be called, ha? Kasi nakita ko actually din sa records. Marami din yung reporters, no? Unless you're called or unless nobody's able to answer it. Sige, tuloy. Sorry to interrupt. Okay.
Doc, it is a type of megaloblastic anemia po wherein merong inadequate levels ng vitamin B12 tapos meron ding defects sa intrinsic factor.
And iba naman na, what are the conditions where we see this type of anemia? Ay, wala. Puro pharma inaral niyo kagabi.
If your patient daw po adheres to a vegetarian diet, mataas yung possibility na magkaroon siya ng pernicious anemia.
Why? Okay. Yes. Sige.
Pwede rin daw po kapag merong infections, like mga parasite infections.
Like?
Tapeworms po. Ganun.
Sige, tapeworm. Doon muna tayo sa pathophysiology of pernicious anemia. And what's wrong? What's wrong? Why there is pernicious anemia?
Impaired production ng intrinsic factor.
So one is there is a decrease.
Decrease, Doc, ng intrinsic factor.
Bakit saan ba ang intrinsic factor?
Secreted by the parietal cells of the stomach.
Parietal cells, okay. Sige, what else? Who can add to that?
Doc, I would like to add po. And also yung causes po relating to the intrinsic factors that kasi may weakening of the stomach lining leading to my atrophic gastritis din po na involved.
So there is a decrease in the production because there is a direct damage to the cells that are producing the intrinsic factor. What else? That's the newer ones. Actually, we were studying this newer, hindi pa ganun ang pagkaintindi ng pernicious anemia. So ano yun?
Doc, it results from the autoimmune attack po on the gastric mucosa.
Yes, it is now an autoimmune disease, no? And what are those antibodies? Iba naman?
Doc, meron pong type 1 antibody, type 2 antibody, and type 3 antibody po.
Sorry, ano yun?
May type 1, type 2, and type 3 po. Antibody po.
Sa anong antibody yung may types na yan? Ano yung ina-attack na antibodies na yan? Dalawang antibodies, di ba, they attack one and the other. Ano yun?
Intrinsic factor, Doc. Tapos the parietal cells po yung isa.
Yeah. The anti-intrinsic factor and anti-parietal cells. Okay. Let's go back to saan ito nangyayari? Itong lahat ng pathology na to sa stomach lang ba? Or are there other parts that's also involved in the entire pathophysiology of pernicious anemia?
The small intestine po, Doc.
Which part of the small intestine?
Ileum.
The ileum. Iba naman. Bakit? What happens in ileum that's being affected in this case? Normally, what happens in the ileum?
Yung vitamin B12 po doon po na absorb.
Or what's the other name for that? Vitamin 12 or your?
Cobalamin.
Yes, your cobalamin. No? Okay, so relating it to the patient, ano bang nangyari sa patient? Why did the patient have pernicious anemia? Uy. Ano na? Walang makakasagot nun. Ano yung mga nangyari sa pasyente? Ayan naman sa mga ano nila, di ba? Nasa in the entire case, you will see how the patient or what's happened to the patient. Ayan, ipakita mo nga yung mga ano, sino bang nag-operate ng slides. Ano sa tingin ninyo ang nag-cause ng pernicious anemia in this patient?
Doc, yung intake po ng naproxen.
Yes, the intake of naproxen, brand talaga, no? Ay, yeah, brand ang naproxen, di ba? Naproxen sodium pala is the generic. Okay, what's the effect of that? Iba naman, ibang sabi. Anong ginawa ng naproxen sodium? Ano na nga ba ang brand ng naproxen sodium? Hoy, anong ginawa? Alam na natin yung pathophysiology, di ba? We know what happened. So what's the effect of naproxen to those structures?
Doc, naproxen is a COX inhibitor po, Doc. So, pag COX inhibitor, nagde-decrease po, Doc, yung secretion ng mucus within the lining of the stomach. So, therefore, at risk for damage po yung stomach. So, baka yun, Doc, yung naging cause kaya nagkaroon siya ng pernicious anemia.
Yeah, correct. I mean, there's nothing that we can, ano pa bang pwedeng nangyari? Yes, he had gout and he had arthritis. That's why he's on chronic tawag nito, NSAID user, no? And that can damage your stomach. Okay. Now, so you have this patient presenting with next slide ka man. Okay, iron supplements. Wala naman yung effect yung marijuana, wala naman siyang alcohol. Medyo matanda na siya. Meron bang effect ang magiging matanda? Let's go to epidemiology. Which patient population common ang pernicious anemia?
Sa nabasa ko po, Doc, hindi po siya seen until age after 30 years old. And may journal din po na average age is about 60 na po and above.
Yeah, your patient is around this, around this age group. Now, the presenting symptoms are, nandyan na ay presenting of the lab finding symptoms and of course supported by lab findings. Ano ang presenting ng presentation ng patient or ng case?
Macrocytic yung mga RPCs.
The patient has pallor and he has anemia. Anong klaseng anemia?
Megaloblastic.
Agad-agad. Yung muna, wag muna yung nga ba tawag nito? By morphology muna. So what's the morphologic anemia? Morphologic type of anemia there is?
Macrocytic.
Yun, sino na nga yung lalaki nagsalita kan?
Macrocytic po.
Macrocytic lang, macrocytic anemia. So, ano ang tiningnan mo noon kaya nasabi mong macrocytic anemia siya? Dalawang parameters ang tiningnan mo kung bakit mo nasabing macrocytic anemia.
MCV po.
Elevated MCV.
MCV po. Tsaka MCHC po.
Tsaka, siyempre hemoglobin tsaka hematocrit, no? Kasi pwede ka naman magkaroon ng macrocytosis without with normal hemoglobin hematocrit, di ba? Para ma-label mo siya as macrocytic anemia, dapat may anemia muna bago naging macrocytic. Okay. So, ano pa sabihin natin? How about the RDW? Is that significant to you?
Yes po, Doc. Sign po siya ng anisocytosis.
Yeah, anisocytosis, or even anisopoikilocytosis. No? Did you have pictures of the smear?
Wala po, Doc, from the case.
Wala, no? Anyway, what will be the expected findings in the smear?
Doc, yung mga
Hypersegmented neutrophil po.
macrocytic was hypertrophic, then presence of hypersegmented neutrophils.
Hypersegmented neutrophils. Why is there hypersegmentation of neutrophils? Uy, bilis. Type nyo na agad si Google. What is causing the hypersegmentation of neutrophils?
Yung deficiency po sa cobalamin.
Yeah, deficiency of cobalamin can result into hypersegmentation of neutrophils. Okay. Ano pang makikita mo? Microcytic and can have an anisocytosis. So if you have a patient having this, no? What is the role of LDH? Why? What is the role of LDH in anemia? Bonnie, ano na ba? Lahat na ba nakapag-mema?
May hindi pa nakapag-memo iba, Doc. Medyo, pero marami po nakapag-memo, Doc.
Kapag-mema. So, pero marami din hindi pa.
Opo, Doc. Marami pa rin po.
Ano ba yan? Sandali lang. May sagutin ako. Mag-isip kayo dun sa tanong ko, bilis.
Doc, yung role po ng LDH test sa anemia is to detect if there is tissue damage po or the cells are breaking apart.
So, ano na nga yun? Anong purpose ulit? Sorry, hindi ko gano'n narinig.
To detect if there is a tissue damage po or the cells are breaking apart po, yung sa body po.
Okay, that's generally the use of LDH. But iba naman yung tinatanong ko para may mabigyan ng ibang point. Generally, in this case, why would you be interested to know the LDH level? In that context of tissue damage and also ano yun, anong effect?
Para ma-differentiate po from megaloblastic from mixed deficiency anemia.
So megaloblastic versus anong klase yan?
Mixed deficiency anemia.
Mixed deficiency anemia. Why? Ano bang kaibahan nilang dalawa? Ano ang LDH ng isa sa isa? Iba naman sumagot. Actually, wala namang difference sa dalawa. Pagka in anemia, generally, as long as tawag nito. Kasi mabibigay ko na yung sagot, no? Anyway, LDH will be an indicator here of your hemolysis. Okay. So in hemolytic anemias will be higher LDH. But in this case, there is actually a degree of hemolysis happening. Bakit nag-hemolyze ang mga red cells that are big?
Kasi Doc, hindi po sila yung deformability nila kapag dumadaan.
Yes, yung deformability nila, no, can be, So, what is the tawag nito? The expected osmotic fragility in megaloblastic anemia. Will it hemolyze earlier or later?
maghihimolize earlier po to.
Yeah, theoretically, no. Pero yeah, that could be the same as the your smaller ones. The spherocytes are also, I don't know, because it doesn't have enough space to accommodate water. Okay, ano pa nga ba? How about bilirubin? Bakit small? Ano tong small? Meron pang, ano na ba ngayon ang bilirubin? Small, medium, large na ba? Hoy, mga reporter, ano yung bilirubin na small na yan? Bago na ba ngayon ang result ng bilirubin? Small, medium, large na?
Doc, yung small po galing po yan sa urinalysis niya. Yung sa urinalysis po kasi niya nag-show ng small bilirubin.
Si ano ba to? Si Jason ba to? So galing sa urinalysis, small ba ang inaano? Di ba? O positive or negative, di ba? Hindi small. Hindi kasi kinuha nyo lang pala to sa ano, saan ba to? Sa India ba to ang pasyente na to? May ibang countries yata na small, medium. Anyway, what is the use of hemoglobin in cases of anemia na lang? Oy, mga medtech dyan. Wala. Ako na naman sasagot. Ay, reporter.
Sorry, Doc, tanong niyo po ba is yung sa
bilirubin. Anong purpose ng bilirubin? Kahit na hindi na urine na.
Doc, kasi po yung deficiency of vitamin B12, Doc, possible po na magkaroon ng jaundice si patient. So, if mataas ang bilirubin,
Bakit siya
indication,
nagjo-jaundice?
dahil po
Ang
dun sa
jaundice is being tested using pregnancy test. Okay. O ano, bakit?
Doc, nagkakaroon po ng increased degradation of heme po.
In a condition called, that starts with letter H.
Hemolytic anemia, Doc.
Hemolysis muna. Basta may hemolysis, pwedeng, I mean, there's an increase in hemolysis. Kaya you want to see the bilirubin level and the LDH level also. Po yung mga pinag-order nyo dyan. Well, malinaw naman na yung ano. Yun, nilecture ko to. Why is haptoglobin decreased?
Kasi Doc, yung free hemoglobin will bind with haptoglobin, kaya nagdi-decrease po yun.
Pag mayroong hemolysis, di ba?
Yes po.
Yung ano, ang folate normal siya, di ba? So how are you going to differentiate megaloblastic anemia from folic acid deficiency? Hoy, sinabi yan kanino ng reporter. Sa clinical ano, no? Kaya ganito. Actually, itong ano, yung megaloblastic anemia, ang presentation niya sometimes yung tawag nito. Parang insidious and folic acid deficiency. So hindi mo alam kung paano talaga siya approach. Kaya what they do or clinically sa mga ginagawa is nagta-trial lang supplementation, baka ma-correct, no? We are seeing megaloblastic anemia, and then there is hypersegmentation of neutrophils. Like in our case, in my case, when I see this, and I just give a hint that this could be a B12 or folic acid deficiency, and some of the doctors would call, especially the GPs, and is there a way to differentiate? Just say they can do trial supplementation and do a repeat after if it's corrected. Right? Sige, ano pa? Next nga. Next na ano? Next. Okay. Next na. Lahat na ba nakapag-mema? Wala pa rin, Bonnie. Bahala ka yung
Dok,
pag-mema.
Halos parang 4 na lang.
4 na lang, hindi pa nakapag-mema.
Opo.
So mapunta na tayo sa feelings. What are your feelings about the case? Or what's your opinion about the entire course of this patient? Nagtanong na ba ako ng differentials? Parang hindi pa. No?
Wala pa.
Uy, asan na? Wala pa. O sige, sinong gustong baka may, ano na lang yung mga pinaghandaan yung tanong, sabihin nyo na, Doc, ito, ano ang tanong pag ito yung sagot? Sige, bilis.
Differential diagnosis po, Doc.
Sige.
Pwede pong hypoplastic anemia.
Ano na?
Hypoplastic anemia.
Hindi kaya, hypoplastic lang, hindi aplastic anemia, no? But the red cells there will be, anong kaibahan ng red cells doon? Ano itsura ng mga red cells ng hypoplastic or aplastic anemia over megaloblastic anemia? Parehas lang red. So ano pa? Oy, ano na, pangalanan na ba natin hindi pa nakapag-mema? Sayang naman itong opportunity ninyo to earn. Mga grades niyo, hindi niyo pa naman alam. O wala na? Walang mag-opinion, walang mag-feelings man lang dyan? Meron ba kayong bukas? Tawag nito? Plating?
Wala po.
Wala. Bakit walang gustong mag-mema? Mag-mema na kayo ngayon. Diyos ko, finals na. Bahala kayo dyan. Baka yung mema nyo will be the saving grace. Wala talaga mag-mema. Sige, isasara ko na tong session na to. Okay.
So, pwede mag-mema reporter.
Oo nga po.
Hindi na, yung reporter wag nang mumema. Reporter, magtanong na lang kayo, baka may mga friends kayong nasabihan na ito yun, ganyan. Ito dapat ang Kayo na lang kayo magtanong. Sige, bilis. Tapos bigay niyo yung sagot sa kanila, i-message niyo. Ano na lang learnings dito sa case na to?
Dok, pwede mag-answer sa bandang yung mataas yung homocysteine tsaka methylmalonic acid. So parang
sige.
Parang hindi kasi masyado na-highlight. Parang nice to know kasi parang
parang sinasabi mo hindi magaling yung reporter. Sige, galingan mo. Sige.
So yun, Dok, parang yung sa methylmalonic acid kasi, mag-form siya into succinyl-CoA. Kailangan niya ng cofactor na vitamin B12 in the form of adenosylcobalamin. So kapag walang adenosylcobalamin or vitamin B12, so hindi mapo-convert si methylmalonic acid into succinyl-CoA, kaya tumataas yung methylmalonic acid. And then for the homocysteine naman po, Dok, kailangan niya ng vitamin B12 in the form of methylcobalamin para maging methionine. So kapag walang vitamin B12, so may siya into homocysteine, kaya mayroong homocysteinemia dun sa patient.
Okay, correct. Hindi siya mema actually, it's a significant and relevant addition to the shortcomings of the reporters. So minusan natin yung reporter, bigay natin sa kanya yung point. Hindi, joke lang. Okay, anybody who wants to kasi sinasabi niya, he wants to highlight it because there's something more to learn in this report. O tama yun, no? About homocysteinemia or even homocystinuria. Okay, ano pa? Sino pang dyan? Sabihin nyo, ay mali po yung Doc, yung unit ng ganito, nung bilirubin, small, ganyan. No? Sige yun, punain nyo na yun. O di kaya mali yung pronunciation niya, Doc, ng ganito, ganyan. Sige,
pwede
para
mag-add.
natin. Sige. Kulang nga yung reporter. No? Sige. Add
Hindi,
mo
Doc.
na.
Parang na-question ko din before, bakit megaloblastic kapag kulang or deficient sa vitamin B12? So parang nabasa ko na kapag vitamin B12 deficiency, since kailangan siya sa nucleus maturation, tapos yung sa cytoplasm, bakit lumalaki pa rin siya? So parang may tinatawag na parang asynchronous maturation ng nucleus at cytoplasm. Well, yung sa nucleus kasi kailangan niyang vitamin B12, while yung sa cytoplasm pala, hindi niya kailangan masyado ng vitamin B12, kaya lumalaki pa rin yung cytoplasm. More on ribosome and RNA po yung kailangan sa cytoplasm. Kaya nagiging macrocytic po yung mga cells.
Yeah, correct. Okay. Sige, very good. Ano pa?
I think,
Wala
Doc, sorry. Hello?
Sige.
Doc, siguro po, we need careful investigations in terms of identify yung diagnosis mismo. Kasi there are a lot of kinds or types of anemia para lang pong makasigurado.
Okay, yeah. Sige, I agree. Oh, what else? Who else has an opinion or a reaction to this case? How do you feel about the patient? Buti naman hindi naman namatay ang patient.
Hopeful po, Doc.
You're hopeful that...
Opo, kasi hopeful po ako sa recovery niya kasi sa treatment po pwede siyang mag-take ng cobalamin therapy.
Okay, sige. Yeah, there's always hope to this case. And ano pa ba yung nasa dulo? Why is there difficulty of breathing in this case? I'm asking, I cannot really correlate that much. It's because I did not read thoroughly the clinical part. 4 weeks. Why is there shortness of breathing? Reporters, I'm just curious. Why? Okay. Okay. Why is there shortness of breath or tachypnea in anemia?
Doc, pwede mo.
Sige, go.
Since sa anemia, pwedeng reduce yung hemoglobin content. Tapos, di ba yung hemoglobin is important for the oxygen delivery sa mga tissues. So parang yung body's response na since hindi na-deliver yung oxygen dun sa mga tissue, parang may something wrong doon. So parang ang response ng body is yung mahirapan maghinga. So parang nagiging takip niya yung patient po.
It is not the deficiency of oxygen, but rather the oxygen carrying capacity of the red blood cells. Yeah, correct. Okay. So what else? Wala na? Ano, Bonnie, pwede na tayong magsara ng tindahan?
Dalawa na lang, Doc. Pangalanan ko naman.
Hoy, dalawa, alam nyo naman kung sino kayo. Mag-ano na nga kayo. Ano naman, feelings or ano pa? Alam nyo ba nung last quiz pala natin, mayroong dalawang hindi nag-take. Bakit ba? Sayang naman yun. Pero, yeah, ano naman yun. Siguro, babawi naman. 3% lang naman itong case discussion na ito. Okay. So if those two are not going to MEMA, we will close in a minute. So you have a minute more to... For the grades consultation, what we will do is to... bakit yung iba wala pa? Sabihan mo nga, Bonnie, message mo nga yung dalawa. They still have the chance. For the grades consultation, you just message me And then I will give you your grades. And if you have questions, we can do Zoom if you want. Or anytime between now and the entire weekend. It's a long weekend, so you can message me and I'll give you the screenshot of your grade. There are those who, yun nga, yung mga walang exam, I don't know what's the reason. If it's valid, then probably what we can do is to strike that off, or a special exam. I don't know what's going to be done. But at least I would know why you did not take the exams or the quiz. What else? Sa quiz, yung sa recitation din. Yung recitation kasi, Bonnie, when they do not have grades, means they're not absent but they did not participate. Unless na absent siya talaga. Okay. So pag nandun siya pero wala siyang participation, very low grade is given. Just attendance, no participation. Okay? So wala nang may feelings sa inyo? Wala kayong mga feelings in this stormy Friday? Hindi lang merong